Hello, my name is David Mahalik. I'm an engineer here at Fort Defiance Industries. I'm talking about the P2131 sterilizer, and in this video we're going to talk about preventative maintenance. So we have some recommended preventative maintenance for 2-month, 6-month, and annual time periods. Just some general guidelines about preventative maintenance. After you do the preventative maintenance, always follow AAMI ST79 for post-maintenance qualification. Once you reset it up to recertify and requalify it, there's some cycles you're going to have to run, so always refer back to AAMI ST79 to recertify the P2131 sterilizer. Also, as a general rule, always fully drain the sterilizer main unit in the water recovery system if it's not going to be used for an extended period of time. If you keep water in there, there's going to be a lot of biological growth, some algae. So just to keep the biological growth from growing, remove and fully drain all the water from both units. So for the first time period, every 2 months. Also at first setup in a new location, you're going to want to do the pressure safety valve test. This test is also done live with the unit pressured up in the IQ, OQ, PQ installation video, and that's an operational video. But also as a preventative maintenance, just to make sure that this pressure safety valve operates, you're going to want to do this every 2 months. So you're going to need some PPE. We're going to need some steam resistant gloves, some sterilizer gloves. If you don't have long sleeves, it's recommended that you use a sleeve, and it's also recommended that you use safety glasses, but it's not required because the steam actually shoots out to the sides. So if you're a safe distance back, the steam should never go near you. So again, this is depressured, but we're just going to show you what to do every 2 months. Just stand arm lengths away, and you're just going to pull this ring right here on top up for 2 seconds. You're just going to pull up for 2 seconds and hold and make sure that the steam exits the pressure safety valve. So that's the only test for every 2 months, but again, remember to fully drain if you're not going to use it as a good preventative maintenance from biological growth. So we're going to talk about the preventative maintenance tasks to perform every 6 months. These are listed in the manual. We're going to go in order of the manual. So the first one is to replace the HEPA filter, which is right here. Please note that there's an arrow for direction of flow. And so the arrow should point towards the 2 valves. So when you replace this HEPA filter, which we'll have another video on actually how to replace it, what you're doing there is you're ensuring that clean air is going to hit the instruments at the end of the cycle. At the end of a cycle, if there's a vacuum in the chamber, it's going to draw outside air into the chamber to neutralize the pressure so the user can open the door. So it's very important that we have clean air hitting the instruments. So this is supposed to be replaced every 6 months. All right, so the next one on the list is to lube the chamber doorpost. And so this is the doorpost right here. And this hub spins back and forth on it. So you're going to want to keep that lubed up every 6 months. Just a little bit of a light touch of grease will do. NLGI number 2 is good. High temp, because this door and the doorpost gets up to 273 degrees during cycles. If you spin it on all the way, some of the threads are shown, and you can put a little dab on there, and then you can spin the handles and work it back, and it'll kind of spread out the grease. So number 3 on the list is to clean or replace the air filters, and so we got 2 of them. One of them is on this fan that keeps all these electronics cool. Just going to remove the cover, and you'll see a little foam filter that you can rinse out with some mild soap and water. If it's getting really gunked up, you can also replace it. Just make sure you reinstall it and get all those clipped on. The second filter is behind the right side panel, which this filter will sit right here, so the air is going to enter in and draw across the electronics. This filter, again, you can just remove it with a Phillips head and some pliers, and you can clean it out with some mild soap and water. If it's getting really gunked up, this is a replacement part, so we can ship you a new one. Be careful when you reinstall it. There is a direction of flow And so if you're facing the panel this way, the arrow should face towards the electrical box. So you're going to want to have the panel off, and you'll see that we got this heat exchanger right down here. And all these little aluminum fins right here, after a lot of use, these can get gunked up with some dust and dirt. So if these are starting to get gunked up upon inspection, you're going to want to rinse this out and really clean it good. If you don't have good airflow, then it's not going to be able to cool your water near as well sitting in this tank. So you're going to want to inspect and keep these things clean. An easy way to check this is to have the unit set up, remove the panel. If the water recovery system is operating, if you put your hand about right here, you should feel air flowing out. The direction of airflow is across the heat exchanger down and then out the bottom. Please be aware though that there are some fan blades underneath, so please don't stick your hand underneath. You can just place it right here and you'll be able to feel the airflow out. If it was sucking in, the airflow would be in the wrong direction. But again, this is checked at the factory, should be in the correct direction. So that's the water recovery system fan check. So if you kind of zoom in here close, you're just going to want to look for any corrosion on the connectors. You're going to want to look for any loose wires. You can do a gentle tug and they should all be firmly attached. Also look for loose metal objects, dirt, anything that can rattle around and possibly short circuit this terminal board here. As always, please be safe about it and make sure you're de-energized and completely disconnected before you remove this panel to inspect all these wires. Here we have the sterilizer main unit, and again, you can do a light tug just to make sure all the wires are firmly attached to all their connectors. Just make sure everything is firmly attached and not loose. Maybe during transport or over time, some things can become loose. Also, as always, remember to have the unit depowered and completely disconnected. Disconnect the Class L connector before you come into this electrical box. So again, you can start from the left and work your way right and just check everything in the electrical box. Loose wires, corrosion on the connectors, and anything that could rattle around, possibly damage one of the components. So next is to check and make sure that the chamber mount bolts are tight. So here on the front of the chamber, we have 4 bolts and 8 nuts. And on the bottom, we have a jam nut. So this top one is not super tight to allow the chamber to kind of float. But this second nut on the bottom is a jam nut to keep the top one from becoming loose. So you're just going to want to have 2 wrenches and just do a double check on these. And there's bolts in the back on both sides and bolts in the front on both sides. We're going to go around to the back and look at the back chamber mount bolts. So also in the back there are 8 shoulder bolts, and we also have the nuts here too. So you'll see a lock washer. If you look really closely, there's going to be a thermal brake pad and then a little thermal washer. Just going to make sure all that stuff is there and intact, and then make sure all these are tight with a wrench. And it's also the same on the other side. Lastly, on the 6-month preventive maintenance list is to check and make sure that you have all the replacement parts available. Those parts are in section 4.4, and we have actually put an asterisk next to all the replacement parts that we recommend that you stock. So you don't have to do this, but it is recommended that you have those on hand. Those are what we've kind of deemed the most likely to fail, and so if you have those on hand, you'll be able to do your maintenance much quicker and get back up and running. So lastly, for preventive maintenance is what to do annually, and this is actually an FDA required task. So when we got this thing certified by FDA, there's a few things that they require to allow it to be FDA certified, and one of those is a disinfect and clean of the water recovery system. So annually, you're going to want to perform the disinfecting clean of the water recovery system. And this complete task is in another video. But the idea is, after a year of running, you're going to have some just biological growth and all kinds of stuff here in the plumbing of the water recovery system. So basically it's a bleach clean. So we're going to put some bleach in the tank, run a cycle, flush it all out, and clean it and get it ready for future use. So that's last for the preventative maintenance videos. If you have any questions, again, always refer to our tech support at fortdefianceind.com email, or you can give us a call, and the number, as always, is at the end of the videos. Thank you very much.